Thank you so much for checking out the lesson. You know, this has to be one of Trey's greatest, studio solos of all time, I think. And there's a lot going on, kind of. So I'm going to talk you through what he's doing, and then as we go through it, there's a lot of chords being played underneath. So I'll do my best to keep up with explaining that as well. And let's get right into it. I've got this broken up into 6 different sections. And for the first little bit here, Trey really airs out the notes, and he's not playing a ton, which I love. There's a ton of space. So we're going to start up on the 14th fret of G, and the rest of the band is playing a D chord. So we're playing the 5th of it, playing an A. We're going to hold that out for a bit. He bends down from 12, or rather bending up from a whole step above 12. Little pull off lightly to 10, and then a pre-bend. And then he lands on the F sharp, which is the major third of D. Now, underneath all that stuff where I'm holding the note, the rest of the band's playing a D, then an F over D. During that first bend, the rest of the band is going to a G over D. And then when we pull off to the 10th fret, that's the note F, and that's going to be played alongside a B flat over D. And then there's a C over D as we do the pre-bend that leads back to the major third of D. Okay, then there's just a bunch of space. Now I'm going to play the chords because the rest of the band is playing an F over D, G over D, B flat over D, C over D, back to D, back to that F over D, and then here's where Trey comes back in with just a little subtle kind of hammer on up from G to A. You could also be up here doing that too. I just kind of like the brighter sound of the B string there. Okay, now as the rest of the band's about to go to that B flat over D, he's going to do this really cool, this line where he goes from A, C, D. It sounds to me like it does a little economy pick, like down, down. Really, it's one downward motion up to the 12th fret. Then he slides up to 14 and then back down. Okay, then he's holding for a while longer as the band's playing that F over D, G over D, B flat over D, and this is where we get into the second section, which I'm going to play and then talk you through. I'll talk you through the notes and the chords. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up that next month I'm hosting a 2-day live online workshop covering how to play REBA from start to finish. We're going to go over the entire song, and throughout it, I'm going to give you tips on how to play it, how to practice it, how to memorize it, some theory behind what's going on, as well as a deep dive on how to improvise over the jam. There's a sign up link in the description of the video as well as a pinned comment, and if you sign up before September 1st, you'll save $15. Even if you feel like this song is a little too advanced or too difficult to play at full tempo or anything like that, I encourage you to check it out. You're going to learn a ton either way. There's nothing quite like the satisfaction you get from learning an incredible song like this, so I really hope to see you there. Once you sign up, you also get instant access to some of the videos I've done on REBA in the past, as well as downloadable tabs for the whole song, including the studio jam. Space is limited for the workshop, so don't hesitate. Sign up today. I hope to see you there. For this section, I'm going to go through what Trey's playing first and then talk you through the chords. So we start on 10 of D for this line and go like this. Okay, now I like to start that with the index, go to ring finger on 12 of A string, and then I really hear that as like a B flat major 7, which is really cool that he's thrown that arpeggio in. And then he hits a C. Now the rest of the band at that very time is hitting that C over D chord. One other thing that's noteworthy here is we're going to start this run on the E of 3. So if you were counting to come in on the 10th fret of D, you go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Now when I counted to 1, that's the first note of the next measure where we slide up to 16. So again, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Now picking up from there, everybody else is playing an E flat major chord, and it makes sense that he's going to go like this. Okay, I've got a little explaining to do before we do the last little piece of that. So when we slide down from 13 to 11 of high E, that E flat is hitting. And, you know, try to picture the triad that he's outlining there, 13, 12, 11, 11. That's all in E flat, kind of like a bar chord, just the upper structure of it. So coming from, you know, we slid up from 13 to 16. And here's that E flat. Now when we hit the 11th fret of high E string, okay, that last little piece, you know, when we slide from 11 to 10, this is just like a B flat sus. It's like a sus4 going to a 4. You know when you do a chord where you add the pinky in, it's kind of like that move, but with an arpeggio. And that leads us to the 12th fret of the A string, which is the major third of the F chord that's coming next. So that second section so far is 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and now picking up here for the last measure of this section. Like I said, we hit an A, which is the major third of an F major chord, which everybody else is hitting, and then he does this really beautiful slide from 8th to 10th and back down to 8th. At least that's where I think he's doing it. I can't see, you know, it's a studio version. I can't quite see what he's doing. But the main point here is that by going up and down to this E flat, that's the note we're hitting, that's the minor third of the C minor chord that everybody else is playing. So we have a major third and then the minor third of the next chord. So a couple of thirds that are leading the way there. Now we're into section 3. I'm going to play it first and then talk you through it. And actually that 6 of A note that I just hit is going to be the first note of the 4th section, but we'll get there in a moment. Okay, so to start out here, everybody else is playing an A flat major chord. We're picking up on the note C, which is the major third, so a lot of thirds happening here. So this line is so cool. We go like this. 10th fret, I like to do it with the pinky, and then do a pull off from 8 to 7 of G, then a hammer on from 9 to 10 of D. So then slide up from 7 to 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 11, and then I just walk it up with the pinky to 13, 15, and then 16. You could do different fingerings for that. I just kind of walk it up. So that line again. Now from 16 of high E, just move it down to 15, and then move it down to 14, and then there's this really cool lick that goes like this. So that right there, you've got your pinky on 14 of high E string, index ends up on 11, and we do this little kind of triplet move like that. And we end up sliding all the way from, after that triplet, we're 14 of B, 11 of B, 11 of G, slide down to 6, at least that's what I think he's doing, to 6 of D. So, okay, now the one thing that I have different than what you'll see on the tabs on screen is I had it as a pull-off from 10 to 6. I think just because of the way I thought that I heard those notes interact with each other, but I was doing it instead of that pull-off. I put that note F on the 6th fret of the B string and played the rest of it like that. So 6, 6, 6, 9, 8, 6 is the first note of the 4th section. So that whole section again. Here's that triplet. and that's where I'm going to pick up next. So for this next part, let's start with the note I just left off on. I'm going to play it and then give some tips along the way. And that's where we're going to end that section, and we're kind of getting into the home stretch a little after that. But picking up here on 6 of A, that's pretty straightforward. That's where we left on the last section too. Then we're going to move up. Actually, I like to play this part. It's the same note that's an E flat, but I put it up here so that we can do this little kind of sweep move. That's kind of tricky to get the timing. If you take the E string out of it and just go, that's down with one motion, hitting 2 strings, and then an up. So that's the part to just get the timing of, and then you have like a little pickup note. So that may take a little getting used to. I know it did for me, just the timing and the rhythm of it. But after that little, economy picking move, we go 9 to 10 of D, 12, 13. Then go hammer on from 11 to 12 of G, 12 of B, slide from 10 to 11 of high E. So we've got 6 down here. Like that. Picking up from there, after that slide from 10 to 11 of high E, put the ring finger on 13 of the B string, and we're going to slide from 13 to 15, 13 of E to 16 of B. Then we do a little triad right here, an A flat triad, which is the chord being played. Just a really cool line there. So from 13, now where I just left off on 13 of high E, we've got a little more to go here. Go all the way to 14 of G, and we're going to do a hammer on. And that leads us to 16 of high E, which is going to be the 5th of the D flat chord being played at the time. And then we do another triad form. So there's a lot of little simple chord shapes being used here. So from 16 again. Okay, then move down with the ring finger to 13 of E with a bend. And we're in the last little part of this section, 14 with the pinky of the B string, 11 of E, 11 of B, 11 of G, and D. So, like that. Here's that whole section again, just so you can kind of see it put together. And I forgot the last little piece. So after the 11th fret of E through D string, you go 14 of B and then 13 of B. Okay, so now we're getting into the 5th section. And like I've been doing with the other parts, I'm going to play it and then talk you through it. So we're going to slide the index up to 13 of the D string and pick up there. Now a big bend on 14. And then we'll get into the rest a little after that. Okay, so like I said, 13th fret is going to kick it off with this, this little piece of it is like an A flat major chord. And when we hit the 15th fret and hit that twice, that's the major third of the chord being played, which is B flat. So we've got... Now, in the last little piece of that measure, the rest of the band is playing an F minor, and then they quickly switch to a D flat as we go. As we head down to the E flat that I just played, that's also the root of the chord being played, which is E flat, and then we bend. That's really cool. That 13th fret bend is happening while there's a G flat chord. Then we just play 13th fret, no bend, to 11. That's during that A flat chord, and then a little bend up. And I had this down as a C flat chord. You know, we probably more typically think of it as a B major chord. It's just that I'm kind of thinking almost like from the perspective of G flat, and that would be how you would name that chord in the key of G flat. But this isn't really in a key. It's moving around a ton. Anyway, from that bend on 13, then we go up, and we're going to do this, like I said, this big bend with the, I like to do it with the middle finger just to kind of set it up, 14 up to 16, then bring it down to the 13th fret. Now, as that's happening, there's a D flat chord going to an F minor chord. So if you can kind of hear that in your mind's ear, then it's going to go back to D flat with the rest of the band, and then we're going to go 13th fret with the ring finger. We do a full bend this time to the note G, which is the major third of the E flat chord. Then we're going to hit G flat with the pinky. Now, as that part that I just played is happening, the rest of the band is going G flat, and then that takes us into the last section. So I'm going to pick up on 13 with the index and then kind of slide up from there. All right, so where we pick up here on 13, we're going up to 13, 14, slide up to the note G, which again is the major third of the E flat chord happening. A couple half bends, and then you go to the note E flat on 16 of B, and then this the next measure. Now that thing, you can think of it as like we're kind of outlining like a D shape and like a D7 shape. It's just that the chord is E flat and E flat 7 that we're outlining. In a minute, I'll talk you through what the rest of the band is doing. It's kind of a lot going on, so I'm going to do one thing at a time. So let me go back to the slide, up to G. Okay, now we've got 4 more measures to go. We go like this. Of B, 13, and then you could switch fingers if you wanted to, but I'm just going to go index on 13 of the G string, and then bending up to A, which is the major third of the F chord, which we end with. Okay, now I said I was going to talk you through the chords too, so while this thing happens, there's an E flat over D flat, then like a C minor 7, and then I have it down as an E flat over B flat. And so we do that twice. Here's the second one. Then D flat, C minor, and then F with that kind of last little bend to the note A. That solo right there is just such a masterclass in how you can tie the phrasing you're creating with your solos in with the chord progression and create a lot of tension and release with bends, with sliding up, with a little bit of chromaticism that he throws in there. There's a ton of really cool things that are really simple at the core, but it's just so melodic. But my hope is that, looking at this and breaking it down, you can see how you can take a bunch of simple things and creatively tie them together, and then you create this kind of seemingly complex thing, but when you look at each little individual part, it's not that crazy. As always, thank you for spending your time with me. I'll see you soon.